Thanks, Mary Lou, and thanks everyone. I am humbled by Dan. Isn't that amazing? And what a good life. And I think it kind of brings to point that it doesn't matter how your life is constructed. And I mean, I get asked a question a lot of time, what makes a good life? And obviously there is no one path. There is every extreme. But it depends on your circumstances, your abilities and the opportunities you have. My story is about research as innovation and the joy of being curious about things and being able to indulge that passion. My other story is this fabulous trip that we took to Central Australia, and I hope you'll enjoy the photos and that they provide a lovely counterpoint to and backdrop to my story. Let's start with knowledge, and realistic knowledge at that. The little mouse at the bottom of the picture spent the night going all over our campsite and finding out what was happening. The beetle, on the other hand, was slightly less focused, didn't quite know what was going on. And I see the similar sort of thing with my university students, where if they overestimate their abilities, in fact, they do much worse in their exams. And let's face it, exams is what counts for students. So this is about knowns and unknowns. And if you're going to be innovative, what are your strengths? What exactly is the problem that you want to solve? And how might you go forward with that? The second thing then is, despite that knowledge, you need to do something you love. I think it's fairly clear that Dan loves music. I love research. I love to find out why people do the things they do. And probably by the time I finish, you'll realise I also love photos of flowers and birds and interesting landscapes, and particularly this exquisite heath myrtle we found at the top of Kings Canyon. When you do something you love, it gives you joy forever. And I found this when I talked to women who worked in kindergartens and early childhood settings. Everybody wants the best for our children, I think that goes without saying. And these women were working very hard to provide kids with the best possible start. They were really actively working on play-based education and care. And they enjoyed children for being children, open and honest and very, very funny. When you do something you love, it creates a positive spiral of satisfaction and joy, and that maintains and fosters your engagement in your task over time. It also gives you momentum and zest to keep doing what you're doing. However, when you have all that lovely zest of enthusiasm, we don't do it in isolation, and as this poor galah found, sometimes we need to share our abilities. Innovation is going to occur in the context of your family and your friends, your work colleagues and in your communities. And how then, if we think about innovation, how can we find these wonderful, motivated employees, the kindergarten teachers I spoke to, how can we have more of those? How can we engage and retain those people in our workplace? And what I found was that early childhood employers, like any employee, needs to do a few simple things. Provide reasonable working conditions, value your staff, give support where it's needed. And when you do those sorts of things, you're going to allow commitment and creativity to flourish. And also, then this also gets you away from the dreaded trap of micromanagement, which is never a good thing. Because even if you avoid micromanagement, you are going to face challenges, and whichever way you shape it. We came across this amazing scene east of Alice Springs, and the remarkable thing is that rock strata is laid flat. It begins life horizontal. So in the distance past, this had been lifted, tilted and squeezed, which would have to hurt, whichever way you think about it. That's the amazing thing about Central Australia, is you see the geological violence over a long period of time. It's just amazing. So when you think about challenges, what are you going to do about those? Now, for working women in their later years, not of course my age group because I'm still quite young on the inside, is that quite often we are managing our work and our families with the passage of menopause. And so with a colleague in the UK, we looked at how women might be better. And certainly the poor experience of menopause was lessened for women with more resources. So more of the things that help you manage challenges. Now, whether that was, and this came from two places. Firstly, personal resources, so things like optimism and self-confidence, and also from the workplace. So more, goodness me, a supportive place that values and respects their staff. Where did we hear that before? So the benefits were for the women were not only were their symptoms less severe, but they also had greater well-being, they felt more effective, and they were able to, they had less mental health problems. So it was a bonus all around. So whatever your challenges are, what are the resources you can bring to bear about? What education have you got? What friendship networks can you call upon? All of those things are very important. The best thing about challenges, of course, is they don't last. The sun will come out again. Now, these tree martin nests had been rebuilt after floods on the Georgina River, and we saw evidence of driftwood that was much higher than the bridge that it was on. And we know about floods here in Gympie, and I appreciate Mary Lou's comment about, where the rivers come up, the rivers go down. But all of those things about recovery from challenges, building your innovation is going to take time. And life is just an accumulation of days. Today, fortunately, is anchored in the near and distant past, so the things that you bring with you, and it goes on to the future. But today is the only day you've got time to do anything with. That you need to think about what you can do to make your innovation happen. What would you do with your own interests and ideas and creativity? 10 years ago, I came back to study. I'm a very proud, mature-age student. I came to study to find a new way in life. Education for me was the way forward, but it might not be for you. It might be your innovation is a new way to grow crops. It's a new product, it's a new song to take to the world. But all of those things will take time to do and to be. So it's important to think about what are you going to do today? What are the sort of steps that you can take that are going to help you to move forward? And lastly, what exactly are you going to do? You could start with a list. And you could write a list and you could think, okay, well, I need to do this and I need to do it by that time. Going forward from this point, what will you do? No amount of planning and passion is going to take the place of action. And I suppose that's what I've found from doing research, is that the confidence to back myself to do something. The research on menopause I ran with a colleague in the UK, and we did it all by Skype, and we talked most weekends and say, okay, well, how are we going with that? Right, okay, well, I'll talk to you next week and I will have done this, that and the other. So it's taking the action, it's having the courage to do something really different and outside that thing. Now, whether you do it, it's sort of, for me, that, as I said, education was the key, but certainly it might be something quite different. But it's something quite glorious, and it's your own journey, because that's your life and your experiences and what you can do. At the end of this road from Dalhousie Springs, you can come back across the Simpson Desert, which is really, really wonderful. Now, and I'd like to finish with one thing. If the harder you work, the luckier you get, I'd like to say good luck and thank you very much.